This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It is 4:27 here on our Wednesday morning. We want to thank you for starting your morning with us here on RTV6. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. We begin with the results from Super Tuesday coming in. Joe Biden taking a lot of those delegates, but Bernie Sanders not too far behind him, taking California.
Yeah, so we'll be breaking down those exact results. As she said, Biden came away with the most delegates so far, but Sanders won states like California. Bloomberg actually won Samoa, still hanging on a little bit there. Elizabeth Warren, on the other hand, losing her home state to Joe Biden. So we're going to be breaking down what all those results are, what they mean, and that is coming up here on the show. Something else we got to talk about, speaking of 2020, it's a census year, and it's so important that everyone is counted.
Yes, a lot of people are often concerned that they aren't going to be counted or they don't want to be counted for one reason or another. But there is a campaign here in Indianapolis working to make sure every single person here in the Circle City is counted, and one major reason behind that is the more people that are counted means the more benefits for local organizations like the Indianapolis Urban League.
Yeah, so you could lose your area a lot of money if you aren't counted in this, so we're going to be breaking down those numbers and talk to you about different ways you can take part in the census. Kelsey Anderson will have that coming up for us. We do want to talk to someone we haven't seen on the show in a little bit of time.
Welcome.
I managed to wake up early.
Yes,
we're glad you're here.
Kyle. All right, what can we expect in the forecast today? Windy yesterday.
It was breezy yesterday, and it will be again this afternoon.
Okay.
Maybe not quite as windy as what we had in this morning. As you're heading out the door, those winds have relaxed. We've got temperatures that are in the 30s. Martinsville, you're holding on to 40 degrees this morning, 35 in Indianapolis. Things are nice and quiet. Actually have fairly clear skies across central Indiana. We look back to the northwest around Peoria, and there are a couple of showers that are showing up on radar, and we could see a couple of those scooting across the area, especially northern areas, so Kokomo, Logansport, maybe just a brief shower. It's not going to last all that long, so for most of us as you head out the door this morning, it's going to stay dry with those temperatures making their way through the 30s.
Great, Kyle. Thanks so much.
All right. We also have hiring Hoosiers coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, and we're looking at a Bloomington-based company. They make medical devices that you probably see if you're ever in an emergency room or getting an operation done. They are actually helping employees and people in their communities not only get jobs to support their families, but they're also helping them to earn their degree while working. So this is changing the lives of some of the people there. We're going to talk to one employee who's a single mother who says that My Cook Pathway gave her a whole new life for her and her 2 little girls. So we'll break down that story. Plus, we'll have news, weather, and your traffic to start your Wednesday. That's all coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 4:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, 2 campaigns walking away with a major boost after Super Tuesday. A look at who's now on top in the Democratic presidential candidate race.
And a proposal to cut millions of dollars in public funding to Indigo moves ahead in the State House. We're looking at the impact it could have on mass transit in the Circle City.
Plus, the official start to March Madness is over a week away, but we're already getting a taste of it here in Indy. We'll take a look at all the big events basketball fans can look forward to in the coming weeks. First, here at 4:30, we want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. Meteorologist Kyle Mounts with us this morning. Welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks for waking up early.
Yeah.
What do we got going on weather-wise for our Wednesday?
You know, things are fairly quiet. We talked about we got a couple of shower chances for some northern areas, but we need some dry time, and that's what most of us are going to get here as we head throughout the middle of the week. We've got our temperatures in the 30s, most spots, Muncie, though, and Martinsville at 40 degrees. It's 35 downtown. Now, fortunately, that wind has dropped below 10 miles per hour in most spots, so we're in pretty good shape there. Not too much of a wind chill factor as you head out the door. Satellite and radar. Things are very nice and quiet here right now. We look back to the northwest, though, and that's where we do see a couple of those showers making their way through portions of Illinois this morning. And here's a look at TrueCast. Again, we are not expecting to see very much at all out of this. You can see an increase in the clouds as we go through the morning. There's a couple of those very light hit and miss showers around Kokomo. Kokomo, Lafayette, and possibly as far south as Crawfordsville. But actually, as we go into the afternoon, we'll start to clear out those skies a little bit and enjoy some sunshine. There's that wind right now out of that warm southwest direction, so that will help us out as we go throughout the day here. As we see a little more sunshine into the afternoon, I think the temperatures will rally once again, especially as we have that southwest breeze, 10 to 20 miles per hour, possibly some gusts between 20 and 30, and that will get our highs into the middle 50s.
All right, Kyle, thanks so much. Let's take a look at your commute as you're heading out there on this Wednesday morning. Here's a live look to the southwest, I-465, a view here near Man Road. Traffic is moving along up to speed, both eastbound and westbound. So let's take you across town, I-69 and I-465, the ramp system there on the northeast side. Traffic's moving along up to speed in all directions. The good news right now around the metro area, no crashes to report. That will slow you down. We do begin with election coverage this morning. Super Tuesday turned out to be more than super for Joe Biden.
Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders picked up the largest prize, California. The former vice president racked up a number of wins, proving the race isn't over quite yet. John Lawrence joins us now with more.
Joe Biden scores big on Super Tuesday.
So I'm here to report we are very much alive.
The former vice president is projected to win at least 8 Super Tuesday states and says he'll strive to bring bipartisanship back to Washington.
We can't have a never-ending war between the parties. We need a president who can fight, but make no mistake about I can fight. But look, we need as badly, someone who can heal.
Senator Bernie Sanders also collected a healthy amount of delegates Tuesday and says he's not backing down to Biden.
I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination.
Or anyone else.
And we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
Senator Elizabeth Warren's campaign is struggling. She even lost her home state of Massachusetts to Biden.
Cast a vote from your heart and vote for the person you think will make the best president of the United States of America.
Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg doesn't leave Super Tuesday empty-handed. He won American Samoa.
In just 3 months, we've gone from 1% of the polls to being a contender for the Democratic nomination for president.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Despite the big wins for Sanders and Biden, Mike Bloomberg and Elizabeth Warren are showing no signs of slowing down, both campaigning last night in states that will hold some of the next big primaries. Voters in Michigan and 5 other states go to the polls a week from yesterday.
Time now, 4:34, covering the State House this morning. A proposal that could slow or even halt Indigo's future expansion plans has moved forward in the state Senate. The bill would create consequences for Indigo if it doesn't raise 10% of the money for its projects from private donations. Of the $5 to $6 million that are needed to hit that 10%, Indigo has raised only about $35,000. Yesterday, members of Indigo, the AARP, and other organizations called for lawmakers to reject the bill. They say recent improvements and upgrades could all be erased.
Routes that were an hour and they're now moving to 30 minutes, or the routes moving from 30 minutes to 15 minutes, that 8 that goes every trip, all that goes backwards. It all goes backwards.
Indigo says there are no other cities in the country that require public transportation funds to come from donations. The bill will now head back to the House for more consideration.
A zoning committee will decide next month whether a piece of land on the west side will become the site of a new apartment complex. Right now, the spot along High School Road, south of Rockville Road, is covered with hundreds of trees and surrounded by homes. Documents from the Department of Metropolitan Development show a proposal for a 216-unit apartment complex made up of several 3-story buildings, a clubhouse, and pool. Neighbors, however, are sharing their concerns with RTV6.
This has been a great neighborhood. It still is. And we'd like to keep it that way.
It's a desirable area, and I would hate to see the value of our homes that have been here for a long time, to decrease.
According to documents from the city, the developer would keep as many existing trees on the property as possible. Residents plan to weigh in at next month's zoning meeting. From our Call 6 Investigates team, the Attorney General's office has filed a lawsuit against a makeup artist accused of leaving brides in limbo on their wedding days.
That lawsuit accuses the makeup wedding artist of representing herself as a licensed cosmetologist when she hasn't been licensed in the state of Indiana for at least 20 years. Karen Hall's storefront was located on Allisonville Road in Fishers, but it's now closed. As Call 6 Investigates reported in February of 2019, brides say that Hall failed to show up on their wedding days, leaving them in limbo. We also talked to former contractors who worked for Hall, but they say they never got paid.
The state is seeking more than $5,000 in restitution for 6 consumers, including brides featured in our Call 6 investigation.
The Attorney General is also asking a judge to stop Karen Hall from owning, operating, or managing any Indiana company that offers cosmetology services. Hall didn't respond to our request for an interview. When we showed up at court to a hearing, Hall dodged our cameras, eventually emerging with the court bailiffs by her side.
There are brides and contractors that say you owe them thousands of dollars. Are you going to pay people back? What do you want to say to the brides that say you canceled on them right before their wedding day? What do you want to say?
Well, Hall then showed us an obscene gesture before she drove off. Hall filed for bankruptcy just last week, and it's unclear how this will impact the Attorney General's case against her. We are reaching out to Hall's bankruptcy attorney for a comment. No attorney is listed for Hall in the state's lawsuit.
A Kosciuszko County teen is being recognized for his heroic actions after a fiery car crash. 16-year-old Jeb Ritchie was riding in a car with his mom and some friends when suddenly traffic screeched to a halt. Another driver had stopped in the middle of the road, causing a pileup. Melissa Garman was also on the road that day and could not stop in time. Her vehicle hit the car Ritchie was in and immediately burst into flames. Ritchie says that's when his instincts kicked in. He ran to Melissa's car and pulled her to safety before the car exploded.
I do remember being the car on fire. I remember at one point coming to enough that I saw Jeb's face in my window. He said, "I'm going to get you out." That is the only thing I could never forget in the whole accident was I knew that kid. I knew his face. He will forever be my hero.
Melissa is still recovering from her injuries, but she says she is forever grateful to Jeb. Last night, the teen was honored for his bravery at the Decatur City Council meeting.
Women in high-risk pregnancies in Indiana now have a place to turn. The Riley Fetal Center is a one-stop shop for expecting mothers. It's located at Riley Hospital for Children's Outpatient Center. The goal is to provide multiple services in a single location to help ease the burden on expecting mothers. Doctors hope the center can help support maternity care deserts in other parts of the state as well and reduce Indiana's infant and maternal mortality rates. The Riley Fetal Center opens on March 16th.
The Big Ten basketball tournament is back in Indianapolis. Fans and teams will be all over downtown for the next 2 weeks. The women's games start this afternoon at Bankers Life. The first game tips off at 2, Illinois versus Wisconsin. Penn State takes on Minnesota after that. The tournament continues with 4 games on Thursday. Purdue plays at noon against Michigan State. As for IU, the Hoosiers finished in 4th place, so they don't have to play until Friday.
Well, the women's tourney continues through Sunday. That night, we'll learn the pairings for the men's tournament. They'll kick things off at Bankers Life Fieldhouse a week from today. This is all the first dose of March Madness here in the Circle City. Along with the Big Ten, the Horizon League Finals will also be held here. Those games are next Monday and Tuesday at the Fairgrounds Coliseum. The high school boys state tourney is underway with state finals on the 28th. The NCAA Midwest Regional comes to Lucas Oil Stadium that same weekend, and the Pacers have 6 home games. The first of those is next Tuesday.
It's a good thing we like basketball around here,
that
Lauren.
is for sure.
The state of Tennessee reeling in the aftermath of deadly tornadoes. Straight ahead, the latest on the search for survivors and how you can help with relief efforts.
And more employers are working to improve employee mental health. Coming up, the new measures some offices are taking to make sure that workers get the services that they need. Time for a check of our bus stop forecast, Kyle.
Yeah, and this morning, Lauren, all the kids are going to need the coat, but you might want to send the umbrella along for kids there around Monticello, Kokomo, and Hartford City. That's where we could have a couple of very light showers with temperatures in the 30s this afternoon. Looking great, though, sunshine, and we are back in the 50s. We'll be right back here on Good Morning Indiana.
IndyChannel.com.
Welcome back. This morning, the search for survivors continues in Tennessee after multiple tornadoes touched down.
This is a look at the destruction that left at least 24 people dead across Middle Tennessee. Right now in Putnam County, about an hour east of Nashville, more than 70 people are still missing.
Crews there are working around the clock conducting search and rescue efforts. And this morning, survivors are continuing to pick up the pieces. Camilla Burnell is in Nashville this morning with the latest.
Piles of rubble and the devastation of buildings and neighborhoods. That behind every pile really represents people. It's businesses that have lost. It's families that are hurting. It's people that have really seen the destruction of this.
A powerful tornado leaving entire communities leveled in Tennessee. The storm striking under the cover of darkness, leaving behind a trail of carnage in the middle of the night. Tennessee's governor says the people of his state need hope more than anything else.
I talked to a person today who had lost everything that they owned completely. They're, walking through rubble trying to find the last pieces of what they owned. And they had previously, earlier in the day, been called upon to identify bodies of victims.
The National Guard has also been deployed to help search for people who might be buried in the devastation.
There are missing people. There are still people that are unaccounted for.
And President Trump is planning to witness the loss firsthand on Friday.
Our hearts are full of sorrow for the lives that were lost. It's a vicious thing, those tornadoes.
And we now know that you may be wondering how you can help the people impacted by this storm. We can tell you that 2 local organizations already have efforts underway.
Active Grace and Camp Canby are putting together emergency kits for Tennessee tornado victims. They've already received donations, and volunteers got to work last night putting together dozens of those kits.
I think it's just like a charity circle, it's to keep good things in our life, we do good things for others. And I think that's a method that the camp and Active Grace have really worked on.
We are thankful for the prayers and appreciation, the time that people even consider just thinking about this mission and what we're able to do.
The organizations say they still need toiletries, clothes, and other basic items to keep the effort going. The emergency kits will be taken to Nashville in the next 2 weeks. To find out more on how you can donate, visit this story in the RTV6 app.
Now to Washington, the Federal Reserve has slashed interest rates by ½ a point. Chairman Jerome Powell says that this was to help protect the U.S. economy from the coronavirus outbreak. The surprise cut triggered a wild swing on Wall Street. Tuesday, the Dow closed down nearly 800 points. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 also finished in the red. Although lower interest rates are good for stocks, making borrowing cheaper, the emergency cuts signaled to investors that the U.S. economy might be at risk due to the COVID-19 outbreak. This was the first unscheduled emergency rate cut since 2008. It also marks the biggest one-time cut since then.
Japan's minister for the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games says the 2020 games could be postponed until later this year. Under the hosting agreement, the games have to be held within 2020. According to the minister, that could be interpreted as allowing a postponement. The IOC released a statement Tuesday saying it is fully committed for the games to go on as scheduled, but added it will follow the advice of the World Health Organization. Meanwhile, Comcast CEO Brian Roberts says his company is insured if the games were to be canceled. The games are scheduled to take place July 24th through August 9th in Tokyo.
It is 4:47 for the first time in nearly a year. Australia is completely free from bushfires. The New South Wales Fire Service reported that good news on Monday. Massive fires have been devastating that country since July, burning for 240 days. Thousands of homes were destroyed and 28 people were left dead. Billions of animals were also killed. The fires were brought under control in part thanks to the heavy rains in the area. That did lead to some flash flooding, but the fire service says that the rainfall is, quote, much welcomed. Back here at home, we got to get a check of our forecast. Kyle Mounts is standing by this morning. Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, good morning to you. We've got some clear skies, and that's allowed temperatures to settle back into the middle and upper 30s this morning. 35 right now as you step out the door in the city. We've got 36 on the thermometer in Kokomo, and there's that breeze out of the southwest, but it's 10 miles per hour or less, so not really adding too much of an additional chill to the air. We mentioned those skies are clear right now. We look back to the northwest. There's a couple of very light rain showers around Peoria as this makes its way into central central Indiana. I think a few of these will hold together, but I don't think we're going to see widespread rain as the morning hours go along. In fact, this is TrueCast, 7 o'clock this morning. You can see that increase in the cloud cover coming our way. That'll be the biggest difference. There's a couple of those very light showers, and I do think that's going to be staying north of Indianapolis and north of I-70. So around Lafayette, into Tipton, Hartford City, Marion, and Muncie, that's where we could see a couple of those very light showers here as we go through the morning. But into the afternoon and this evening, those skies will clear out once again. And it's good news that we're not getting a lot of rainfall, because look at this, especially for the year. This is where we should be, about 5.5 inches. This is where we are, closing in on 10 inches of rain. Your yard is likely still soppy and soggy there. So we are going to start to dry up some of that over the next couple of days with fairly dry weather. And today, those temperatures will be rising through the 40s and eventually back into the 50s. But there's that breeze out of the southwest. So we could have some gusts between 20 and 30 miles per hour this afternoon. Where we have the clouds, stray shower, that will keep temperatures a little bit cooler. Kokomo and Marion in the middle to upper 40s this afternoon. But you get around Indianapolis and those temperatures will take off later today. 55 in Martinsville, 53 for your afternoon high in Newcastle. And we'll find numbers closing in on 60 degrees around Seymour at 58, 56 for you in Spencer. Things are going to take a little bit of a dip here for the end of the week, but look at how quickly we're going to recover. Going into Thursday night and Friday with that temperature transition, that's also where we could see a couple of showers, maybe even a couple of snowflakes that mix in here during the day on Friday. Not going to be a big deal. 40 will be the high there, but look at that. As we go into the weekend, looks like it's going to be dry. Highs around 50 degrees after that chilly start on Saturday morning, and then we'll get back around 60 heading into Sunday afternoon. Next best chance for some rain, that comes early next week. Lauren?
All right, Kyle, thanks so much. Here is a live look right now at your commute on the northwest side. No problems to report here at I-465 and West 71st Street. Of course, we'll continue to keep a close eye on the roads as you head out the door this Wednesday morning. It's 4:50. As more people talk about the importance of mental health, employers are getting on board. Companies like Dell, Delta, LinkedIn, and Visa are bringing in mental health professionals for their employees. Those workers have access to one-on-one sessions with therapists in the workplace at no cost. The American Psychological Association says the office may be the perfect place to help people access mental health care. Experts say access to those services has shown productivity as well.
Take a look at this. Bentley has unveiled a vehicle that costs way more than most homes. The Mulliner Bacalar is a roofless car with a $2 million price tag. On the inside, wood trim that's 5,000 years old. It also has a 650 horsepower 12-cylinder engine and an 8-speed transmission. The Bacalar is Bentley's first in a line of very rare, highly customized cars. Only 12 of the vehicles have been made, and they're all already pre-sold. Sorry, Lauren. Looks like I can't grab you one for your birthday this year.
Darn it. Thank you. Well, an Ohio man brought an unusual date to his sister's wedding. Yeah, coming up, the story behind these viral pictures.
And coming up all new at 5, the 2020 census is right around the corner, and efforts are underway to make sure every single Hoosier is counted. Our Kelsey Anderson is working for you this morning with details on why it's important to take part. It's 4:52. We'll be right back. A prank 5 years in the making was pulled off this past weekend when an Ohio man brought a llama as his date to his sister's wedding. While driving from Ohio to Indiana, Mendel Weinstock told his sister Reva that he would only attend her future wedding if he could bring a llama. Reva was 17 at the time and single, and she begrudgingly agreed. Fast forward to this past Sunday when Reva was set to say I do. Sure enough, Mendel showed up with a llama complete with a custom-made tuxedo. The now 21-year-old college student paid $400 to pull off the prank and said it was worth every single penny.
And taking focus away from the bride.
I know. That is the worst part.
And I'm guessing probably didn't smell that great either. I don't know what llamas smell like, but considering what most farm animals smell like.
Yeah. Hopefully that llama got a bath.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully the bride got her shining moment.
Exactly.
Yes. Any sun shining today?
We are going to get some sunshine here. If you've got some travel that you've got to take care of today, though, severe weather threat, that's going to be down along the Gulf Coast. That's where we've got chance for a few strong to severe storms, and that's where they are this morning. You can see a little locally, though, we are going to be in pretty good shape. We are right back here on Good Morning Indiana.